Welcome to Every Dollar Counts with Josh and Jay, a weekly shot of true serum for your investment and insurance questions. I am Josh Null, the owner of Gulf Coast Financial Advisors. I'm joined today by Mr. Jay Stubbs, Regional Director for First Protective. We are brought to you on the Prime Capital Advisors Podcast Network. So Jay and I are going to lay out who we are and our individual and our collective reasons for starting this show. Some of the reasons are personal, some of them are professional, but the overall goal is to cut through and clarify some of the noise around our industry, answer some questions. Before we dive into that, though, let's have our friends from local band Sloth Racer kick us off. All right, Jay, how you doing today?
Josh, I'm good. Coming off of a 1-week trip with my 4 children and my lovely bride down to the Bahamas.
Right.
It was a great trip. Glad to be back. I have even brought back some of that Bahamian water in one of my ears. So,
did you get it through customs?
Yeah, the water went through customs pretty good. Actually, the whole experience was quite nice. I haven't traveled with all 4 of my children on a flight, much less an international flight. Coming back into the country was quite easy, believe it or not.
Wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, so everything's good in my world. How about you? What's going on in your world?
We're just waiting for school to start at this point. We're hanging in there by the skin of our teeth. So for those of people out there that are not familiar with you or I, we have done quite a few marketing videos and content over the last year, but I think we're going to start with this, letting people know who we are with the podcast. So I'm going to ask you, who is Jay Stubbs?
Well, Josh, I've been in this business, the financial services industry. I just hit the 20-year mark. I'm a Mobilian, born and raised. Went off to Birmingham Southern College way back in 1995. And while I was there, I was fortunate enough to get an internship with a company called Vision Financial Group. That led to another internship with First Protective, a wholly owned subsidiary of Protective Life Insurance. And fast forward 20 years, I've been with the company that long. I serve as the regional director. Some would call me a regional vice president, but a regional director, a go-to resource for anybody and everybody that has the opportunity to offer insurance products to their clients. So that's the independent financial advisor like yourself. That's the property and casualty agencies. That could be the wealth management firms, the RIA type of firms, and certain institutions like banks do business with me. I am married to Casey, the boss, and we've got 4 kids, 2 boys and 2 girls. I wake up each and every day blessed, not only to serve this industry, but also to be a good husband and a good dad to those kids.
That you are.
Try to be.
Yeah, you do a good
They
job.
challenge you greatly.
If you got through customs with 4 kids, that's something I don't think I could have accomplished. So, well, for those of you who are new to the show, my name is Josh Null. I own and operate a fee-based financial advisory practice located in downtown Fairhope, Alabama. The reason Jay and I have a relationship is I also provide risk management services to my clients, such as life, disability income, long-term care, and a host of other things. I've been in this business for about 10 years. And I worked my way up from the insurance side of the industry, went independent about a year ago, largely in part Jay's support. And just on a personal note, I've been married to my wife, Jennifer, over 20 years, which is hard to believe. And we have 3 young children that are, basically kind of like you. It's kind of the epicenter of my whole life. So back to what we were talking about. Some of the folks listening have probably at least seen some form or fashion of some of the things we've done, given that we're kicking this podcast out. I have my reasons for wanting to start the podcast, but I want to hear yours first, Jay.
I've been listening to podcasts for, I guess, going on 2 years. Everything from the hook you in stories, real life crime type of podcast situations, all the way to the how-to podcast. A good friend of ours, both, a really good friend of mine, Cam Marston, started his podcast, What's Working with Cam, that was very intriguing to me. And it seems as though so many of us are so mobile with our primary device, but we have the ability to listen to anybody and on any topic at any moment during our day, whether we're driving or we're getting ready for the day or we're walking around the house doing chores. You can listen to a podcast and get that subject matter into your brain and make yourself a better person, or you can veg out and listen to one of those crime stories. I've really enjoyed it. I wanted to explore this with you. now I've been enjoying it as a listener. Now I want to get in there and offer some support, some knowledge, some facts, and break through some of the noise in our financial services industry and do that with somebody like yourself.
Yeah, that's perfectly said. I second all those reasons. And then, as you know, that I've been doing this long enough that I've seen significant changes in our industry when it comes to marketing. And one of the things that I've noticed over time is some of the ways that we used to market were becoming a little less and less effective, and some of the things that were becoming more effective we weren't doing, hence podcasts. So I think you and I both kind of dived fully into content marketing, and basically as a way to provide people the information that they're looking for, how they're looking for it, when they're looking for it. And as you know, I mean, we're not going to necessarily, this type of show that's going to be investments, insurance, financial products based may not be, appeal to millions and millions of people, but we're going to have an audience out there that is looking for two local people that have some experience, that have shown a track record of talking straight about these type of things, of giving them information also with a local vibe to it, I think.
Well, we'll enjoy this journey together.
That's
I can
right.
promise you that. It'll be fun, and it's going to be a great experience for those that are listening, because I promise you, you're going to learn something when you tune in to listen to Josh, when you tune in to listen to me. If we field your questions, we will get you the answers. And by gosh, we might not know every single answer, but through my 20 years of experience in this business, I bet I know who to call.
That's right. Yeah, a lot of times I'd call you. and I think that kind of hits it on the head with, we're going to make this, with a podcast, you don't necessarily have a call-in element, but with the various platforms that we have at our disposal, we're going to make sure this is an interactive show where if people have questions, would they feel free to ask any question. There's going to be the old saying, there are no stupid questions, right? There's not going to be any bad questions. We're going to take everything in consideration. And if we got the ability to answer those financial and insurance-related questions on this show, we're going to do it. So we're going to try to make this as client-facing, serving as possible. And that's kind of led me to my next point was, the reasons for doing this podcast is you and I both sit there at night and we'll see certain commercials on TV, or we'll hear certain things on the radio or on social media, and we'd be like, man, that's really not the entire story. And I've always wanted to do things where, not that you and I know everything, but we know a lot. And I want to be able to give context to a lot of the questions that people ask. Because sometimes if you ask a person how to do something in our industry, they're just going to show you one sliver of the pie. Or vice versa, if you go to the other side, they'll do the same thing. I think you and I bring a good balance to the answers in that we have a wide variety of experience. We have a wide variety of tools at our disposal. And I think we both also got the heart of a teacher where we can get in there and actually give them answers that are going to help them, not even necessarily to help us.
Can I jump in there and give a specific example real quick, Josh?
Of course.
So I'm scrolling through social media, traveling back into from back into the country from the Bahamas, and I'm sitting there in the airport scrolling through social media, and I come across one on Facebook that says a guy literally got his life insurance policy while standing in line at the airport.
Okay.
So I've seen all of these social media posts. If you have any idea what I'm talking about, it's get your policy quick and easy.
Right.
Which I know there are certain companies out there you can get a life insurance policy quick and easy. But what I did is I actually tested this whole theory, and I went online and I acted like I was going to go buy something that I have represented for 20 years without an agent, without an advisor. So I did this thing through social media. I go through the Q&A process. I tell all my information. I'm looking for a $750,000 policy, and lo and behold, it spits out a rate, and my jaw dropped when I saw what they wanted to charge me on a monthly premium basis for a $750,000 policy.
Well, let me jump in, because I'm going to guess, and I'm probably going to be wrong, but I would guess it's going to be ridiculously high, because the only way that a regular insurance company can offer those kind of rates is if they accommodate the risk inherent with not knowing much about you.
So I answered a pretty good detail. I'm sure they did their proper. I gave them the authorization to run a script check. I gave them my driver's license number to run an MIB, and my driver's record and my medical information bureau stuff. It came back. The premium was 5 times if I had just gone through an advisor, 5 times higher than if I had come to somebody like you and said, "Hey, I'm interested in a $750,000 20-year term, Josh," and you went through your providers, the different companies you represent, price that out on a monthly basis. It was, I could not believe it. Yeah, there are fast and easy ways to get things done in 2019 and beyond, but you're paying for it. Right. You're paying a premium for getting something done in a quick and easy manner. Wouldn't it be worth an extra few minutes talking with somebody like you to save all that money and maybe apply that towards something else? Maybe even get more coverage for the same amount. It blew me away that some people scrolling through social media think that they can get that and just click on a few buttons, answer a few questions. Well, you're going to pay for it 5 times.
Right. And 2 notes on that, as you and I both know, that there are certain companies that deal with certain circumstances, and as you know, later in our other podcast, we'll dive into those companies that specialize in different things. Plus, 2, I get asked every now and then, hey, how come I see the 45-year-old guy on TV that has had heart conditions and on medication, and he can get $1 million for like $20 a month? I said, because it's not a real rate to that guy. It may be a real rate to someone that is select preferred, right?
Yeah.
But that's their hook on it. So you're 100% right. And that's just, I think that's one small example of some of the noise that we want to combat, that there's more information available now about our industry than there has ever been in the history of our industry. But there's also more confusion and lack of clarity. And again, back to the point is, you and I may not know everything, but the one thing that I think we do 100% bring to the table is we're going to look at the situation and do whatever is 100% best for that person, and we're going to have the tools available to put them down the right path where they don't waste their time. Because how many people would have done that life insurance, got it quick, paid 5 times, go talk to a friend, anybody, even a captive agent would be like, oh my gosh, I can beat that. And now they're going back through the whole process all over again.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this thing and you're thinking to yourself, golly, I might need to review, or I might need some updating of my coverages, or I have an investment question, or I'm in a situation where I just need to find out more information before I make a decision. If you're that guy or that gal who's got a question, that's who we are serving. We want to make sure that you have all the information through us, recommending that you talk to your own advisors about questions. Make sure you're getting the answers before you make your decision, and make sure you're getting all the facts and those costs associated with some of your decisions you're about to make.
I think that's perfect. So last thing, unless you got something else, you know, I intend with this podcast to serve the person out there that is looking at doing something in our industry from a retail-facing, client service-oriented perspective. I am also putting it out there too, because I'm big on relationship building with people in my industry, hoping that, you know, you and I, through this podcast, maybe open some doors that we didn't know existed, or maybe open some doors that previously were not open. So that's who I intend to serve with this podcast. I intend to serve those people by basically letting everybody, the world, know the knowledge that I potentially bring to a certain situation, or my opinions on things, and we'll see where those things go. How about you?
Well, I'm serving you today, but I've got about 100 of people like you around the Gulf Coast, from the Gulf Coast of Mississippi through South Alabama into the Panhandle of Florida. I work with advisors. I work with insurance agencies and independent agents. I work with wealth managers, and I work with banks. I get them up to speed on all the things they need to know in the insurance marketplace, whether it's life insurance, long-term care insurance, which is really hot right now. It's very uncommon for clients to be knocking on doors asking you, hey, can you tell me more about that long-term care?
We should do a show on that.
Oh, we will do a show on that. We need to. And then disability income insurance, one of those things that, golly, you certainly need it if you are working hard, because if something happens to you, disability income insurance is a protection vehicle that you need to install. But I work with anybody and everybody in that regard, and I just try to answer questions. So, Josh, you've brought me in front of your clients and before. We've solved problems together for them. I can do that for any other advisors, any other agents, any other wealth managers that are out there. So that's the people that I want to serve.
Perfect. Love it. All right, well, first show in the can.
Unbelievable. It moves fast.
Yeah, it was real quick. Yeah, that 15-minute time limit. So we want to shout out to our producer, Johnny Gwynn of Deep Fried Studios. Shout out to Mr. J. Stubbs for bringing it like always. And shout out to all of you out there that have joined us on this journey, and to those who are joining us now. Got a question for the show? Reach out to us. You'll find a link in the show notes to contact us. Do you like the show? Do me a favor. Please subscribe on the Apple Podcast app or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. And while you're there, You would be doing us a huge favor if you would rate and review the show. It helps other listeners like you find us. Lastly, you like the show music? Go check out slothracerband.com. That's slothracerband.com. And they're going to take us home now. Thank you. Have a great week. Advisory services offered through Prime Capital Investment Advisors, LLC, PCIA, a federally registered investment advisor. PCIA, doing business as Prime Capital Wealth Management, PCWM, and Qualified Plan Advisors, QPA. Securities offered through Private Client Services, PCS, member FINRA, and SIPC. Gulf Coast Financial Advisors is independent of Prime Capital Advisors. Information presented is for educational purposes only, is not an offer or solicitation for the sale or purchase of any securities. All investments involve risk, and unless otherwise stated, be sure to consult a tax professional before implementing any tax or investment strategies.